Good evening, happy Tuesday, welcome back to another episode of Delve Requisite. The big 5-0, boys, we did it!
Oh god. We're in the middle of the midlife crisis. No!
This is... bleh. Swallowed a hair. This is... It's not actually episode 50, in terms of, like, streaming. We're well past that, but, in terms of main campaign episodes, yeah, this is episode 50. Cool. We're in the big time now. Maybe that's what I'll shoot for. Maybe each book of the campaign will be 50 episodes. We'll see.
Nice dream.
So, welcome back to Tabletop Legends. For those of you at home, thank you for joining us. You might notice behind me there is a couch with a sleeping dog on it. And my Helian shields back there. I've rearranged my office, my streaming setup. It was a little claustrophobic in here, the way that I had it before, and it was kind of difficult to get to some stuff. So I did switch things up. You're gonna have to tolerate my sort of box just being in the middle of the thing here, as the last thing I'm gonna need to do is get my green screen rigged so that I can have it behind me here. But hopefully all is well, and I would ask our viewers at home, if possible, to keep an ear out for me. If anybody finds that like I am sort of quiet, or like more specifically that like these guys are way louder than me, please say something in chat and let me know, because in listening to our episode from last week, I noticed that was the case, where, like, I am extremely quiet. You got some people with this in chat. I was extremely quiet last week, so I'm gonna have to, it's gonna take me hours and hours to try and fix that audio, and I don't want to do it for this one. So if I am quiet, please let me know so that I can, I don't know. Quieter than the loud, obnoxious DM from the Monday night stream. That is true. That is true.
Yeah, but also who isn't?
Joining us for this week is the crap all over other DMs from other streams. Before we kind of roll into it, I want to, of course, thank our sponsors, Many-Sided Dice, Team MZ, Twitch affiliate program, and last but not least, as always, Little Dragon Corp. As a reminder, you can type Little Dragon, ! Little Dragon, into the chat at any point tonight. You'll be given a link to their website. I encourage you to go there if you are in the market for a new set of dice, some other tabletop gaming stuff. Hello, Island Phoenix. How are you doing? Thank you for joining us tonight. If you do buy some dice from Little Dragon Corp, please be sure to use the code PROBONUS at checkout. It lets them know that we sent you there, and it earns you a discount on your order. So, as nobody in chat at this point has told me, hey, shithead, your mic is super quiet, I'm going to assume that it's fine, and I think we ought to roll into tonight's episode.
And roll out of this mortal coil.
Yeah. If you will recall, where we left off last time, the party had been very annoyed by the fact that the DM didn't quite do a great job at cropping his camera on the overlay. So you can see his little Discord thing lighting up, and in their rage at that being the case, they stopped the entire show so that the DM could do this, boop, and then we all got on with our lives. Where we left off, the party was abruptly awoken in the middle of the night by a loud banging at the front door of 28 Dorset Street, the headquarters of the Collective of the Arcane Eye, where they have been making their sort of making their home for the past roughly a little less than a year. Torrian Idrian, the very first person that the group all met together when they first got together, in quite a flustered state, was at the door and immediately demanded to know whether all of the Fools Errant were currently on the premises. Upon checking, they realized that, in fact, Fidget and Nula were both gone. In a great deal of distress, Torrian Idrian insisted that it was imperative that they immediately try to seek out where Fidget and Nula had gone, being vague, but telling them that there were extremely high stakes on the line for finding these missing members of their party. They rushed off after Torrian Idrian was able to replicate a divination spell that they discovered Fidget had used in his room, and followed the trail of the two missing party members, where they discovered the home of a mutual acquaintance of the groups, an archivist at the Mithlindian Royal Library by the name of Bertram Flick, who had been helping the group investigate sort of the strange occurrence of some tampering that had been done with the archives. In this building, they found that Nula and Fidget had been present, but were no longer there. They also found that Bertram Flick had been murdered. They continue to follow the trail. They got a lead from a nearby vagrant who had seen a carriage with a group of individuals wearing robes matching that of the archivists of the Mithlindian Royal Library pull up, throw two forms into the back of their wagon, and then drive off with them. The group then immediately proceeded to the library, using some disguise magic and some clever tricks, snuck their way in, and followed down to the deepest depths of the library's lower archives, where they discovered a group of archivists all wearing these strange dragon masks, as well as Fidget and Nula. They arrived just in time for Fidget and Nula, seemingly willingly, to teleport away with a group of these archivists/cultists, leaving them alone to do battle with the remaining archivists and their leader. The ensuing fight did see the remainder of the Fools Errant victorious. They were able to slay the cultists, but not before the battle set fire to the lower level of the Mithlindian Royal Library. And we picked up last week, just as the last enemy fell. Walter grabbed one of the draconic masks off of one of the bodies. Alar grabbed a strange dragon-headed dagger, similar to one that their old party member Kel had carried, though of a different color. And Brahm used his Mask of 1,000 Faces to replicate the visage of the dead High Archivist of the Mithlindian Royal Library. And we left as the group gathered around, and Torrian Idrian began to cast a spell. And that's where we pick up tonight. As the three of you gather around him, Idrian finishes casting his spell, and in unison, the whole group of you disappear. You reappear in a new location. You are no longer inside in the burning depths of the library. The air is now clear. You're able to take your first full breath of air in a while as you have gotten out of the smoke-filled library basement. The sky is just starting to brighten. And you realize that as the sort of howling of the wind kicks up, you are very, 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 very high up. You guys can go ahead and make a... let's call it an perception check for me.
I must have gotten soot in my eye. That's a natural 1. That's a 9.
Ooh, okay.
Sorry, I was angrily confused at not Alar. It is Alar. Alar's roll.
I did to close itself, so I'm gonna open things back up here.
I got
Okay.
a 12.
Okay.
What was it? Well, I already forgot.
Perception check.
Perception.
Perception check.
You're our last chance. No pressure.
But
Help me, brought me one.
I don't know how anything works on the phone.
Oh, is that the new app or is that the?
No, it's just the website.
No.
17.
Okay. So, Alar, you have some kind of like dust. You're sort of wiping your eyes out, blinking the sort of watering to try and clear them. Walter, you're sort of like a little struck by the altitude that you guys find yourself at, and it sort of like freezes up your brain for a second. But Brahm, as you kind of look out, the first thing that you notice just by sort of happenstance of the orientation of your body when you guys reappear, you can see off in the distance. You see in sort of the pre-dawn kind of just beginning to illuminate the skyline. You can see this sort of like angry red glow, and you realize that you are looking out from very, very high up over the topography of the city of Niveria. And this red sort of blister that you see on the city is, in fact, the library burning. And as you kind of piece this landmark together of the library coupled with your altitude, and you sort of look around your feet, it dawns on you that you are standing in a place that you have seen every time you have been in Niveria, and it's sort of kind of melded so much into the background of the city that it's just sort of a commonplace sight to see in the distance, but you have never actually been here before. The four of you are standing at the very top of the Star Spire in the center of the city.
So we're not floating, we're just like at
No,
the top.
you are out. You
Okay,
are on the top of this thing. There's like it's essentially like the top of it kind of comes to like a point, and then there is a sort of a thin disc of ledge about 3 feet wide. That's just like flat ledge. You guys are standing on that.
I will grab a rag and wipe my face and... That's the library, isn't it?
Mr. Idrian, I have questions. Namely, while I appreciate not being on fire, that's very uncomfortable.
He sort of... Idrian is like staring into the middle distance, but as you guys kind of recollect yourselves and once you address him, he's sort of like... He looks... And it almost like dawns on him... It seems like it dawns on him where you guys are, even though he's the one who teleported you here. And he says, "Oh. Huh. I suppose it's the first place I thought of that popped into my mind."
Nobody else is gonna be here, so that's fair.
He kind of nods and he says, "Hold on a moment. We should have a conversation and, well, we can safely do so without having to worry about being overheard here better than any place else. Let us collect ourselves for a moment, and then we can get down to a lower elevation. At that point, he gets a little quiet for a time. Once the initial sort of like vertigo sensation of being up this high settles in, and you guys kind of like step back from the very ledge, you're able to like pretty comfortably like kind of sit or stand or whatever on this without being in danger of like falling over the edge. And you guys end up just sort of waiting.
Alar's
Idrian-
just staring at the fire, and he looks kind of crestfallen.
As is Torrian Idrian, and he's quiet for a good long while. You guys sit there in silence for, probably 20 minutes or so as the sun continues to rise, and that sort of angry red dome of illumination becomes less apparent across the city as the sky brightens. But that dark sort of pillar of smoke continues to just rise from the location where the library is, coiling just lazily up into the air and then sort of blowing off in a generally southeasterly direction with the motion of the wind. And Torrian is just looking. He's watching the library burn during this time, but he has an expression on his face like he's not necessarily really looking at it so much as he's like looking through it. And you can't see, you're too high up and too far away to see like the bucket brigades working to extinguish the blaze, but you can hear from down below, you hear the bells all throughout the city are ringing, like recruiting the citizens basically to come and join in and help ensure that the fire doesn't spread. From this vantage, you can see that there's probably relatively little chance of that, as the library was sort of on its own little hill and isolated by a decent amount of distance from a lot of the other buildings, as it is in the Ambassador Ward, which is a little better spaced out. So there's probably not too much concern about the fire like jumping to adjacent buildings. There's really nothing. There's definitely a kind of a natural fire gap between the library and other buildings. But eventually Torrian does kind of like tear his eyes away from this, and as he does so, he speaks, and at first it's not clear if he's talking to you or like more to himself, as he turns and he says, "I've seen that fire so many times. I never knew it would be connected to them." And then he finally does turn and faces you guys directly. And he says, "Walter, Brom, Ayla, it's been a very long night for all of us, but if you will indulge me for just a few more minutes, I'm working without a safety net here, and the stakes are extremely high. Alright, you traveled with Fidget for a time, so you're at least aware of the basic idea of divination magic. True divination is one of the most fickle forms of magic. Practitioners, for most of them, it's little more than an art of fancy guesswork. There are a handful of truly talented diviners in the world, though, and at a certain level, if an individual is skilled enough, has enough practice, and has the gift of natural ability on their side, a diviner can pluck at the fates of the threads of fate and probability and causality in order to gently massage events in a new direction.
Like when you saved that child.
He nods at you. On a small scale, yes. He says, in many ways, because of this, divination is the most powerful form of arcana. You can blow up a platoon of soldiers with a powerful fireball, but With properly applied divination, you can undo a country. Understand, I am telling you all of this so that you appreciate the constraints on what I can tell you and what I can't. If you haven't guessed, I am a diviner. It's because of this that I am in a precarious situation where you are concerned. If I tell you the wrong thing, if I tell you the right thing but at the wrong time, if I use the wrong bloody adjective to describe something to you, the ripple of consequence could undo us all. So just bear with me. The turn of events that has just taken place has me somewhat on my heels, and that is not a place I am accustomed to be. I'm going to have to make some educated guesses to try and repair the damage that has been done with Fidget and Nula separating from your group. Idrian thinks for a moment, seeming to consider his next words carefully before he continues again. And then he says, "Okay, first of all, the elephant in the room. Our interactions up to this point have been slightly contentious. I've been acting like a bit of a ponce to all of you. I don't have the time to explain why that was important, but for reasons, you were supposed to be sort of vaguely suspicious of my motives and not particularly like me. At this point, we're going to skip a whole bunch of steps, and I'm going to have to ask you to just trust me. Also, you have little to no reason to believe half of the things that I'm claiming are true about any of this, but I hope what comes next will buy me some credibility with you that I am not completely talking out of my rectum. All of Egeria is in danger. That is the bottom line. That is the central thesis. That is the starting point of all of this. Egeria is in danger. And it has been for a very long time. The Invarian Empire wasn't even a vile twinkle in your ancestors' eyes compared to how far back we're talking. However, there is an inevitable progression to all things. The scale of time may be eons long in this case, but that does not change the fundamental nature of fate. He reaches into his pocket at this point, and he pulls out a single gold coin. And he said, "The shifting of fate, it's like tossing an object into the air." And he bing, flips the coin and catches it. There is an inciting incident, always. In the case of our coin, I provide the necessary inciting energetic input. And then from there, the natural laws of reality take over. Gravity and fate work in similar ways, and they are both just as inevitable. Take our coin. After the inciting incident, the coin travels upwards on a particular trajectory. He drags the coin through the air in front of your eyes. As it goes, it continues shedding energy until it reaches the apex of its arc. The whole upward journey, the coin is slowing. But after it reaches the moment of equilibrium at the top, it is inverse. It begins to gain momentum, gathering energy, moving faster downward towards an inevitable endpoint. He flips the coin again, but this time he doesn't catch it, and it sails past him and vanishes off the edge of the star spire, hurtling down towards the ground thousands of feet below. And he says, "Right now, we are at that sweet spot. We are at the apex of the arc. Very soon the descent will begin, and there is nothing that can be done to stop it. If left unchecked, If left unchecked, the terminus of this particular arc is the end of the world. However, there is a chance. A slim and growing slimmer, I loathe to admit. There is a chance that the fall can be controlled and disaster averted. I understand how absolutely mad this sounds, but you are all an integral part of that. I can't tell you how yet. Some parts I cannot tell you because I risk altering the future. Some parts I cannot tell you because I simply don't know. For all of my skill and all of my work, I am in many ways still as much at the mercy of fate as anyone. I'm not omnipotent and I'm not omniscient, therefore I am fallible. What I can tell you at this juncture is that Fidget and Nula departing from the group is a gut shot that will take a great deal of work to recover from. Part of that is my fault. This close to the end, I am rather short on options, and I've put a lot of eggs into relatively few baskets. However, there are still parts of this that should be salvageable. He pauses at this point, and it's unclear whether he's searching for more words to keep going, or whether he's, waiting for you guys to interject.
So you can't tell us what we need to do, because that'll change what we do. But we need to do something. Or that he just gestures out to the cities, like everything is just done.
He...
Does it have anything to do with the vision that Nula had? The one that Walter had? The sight that lantern gave us?
He kind of nods slowly at all of this, and he says, yes, everything has to do with everything. You have seen a lot of strange and, perhaps to an outsider's glance, seemingly extremely convenient and coincidental occurrences over your past several months. Correct? He kind of nods. He sort of nods. That is not an accident. And he smiles a little bit, and just a shade of that sort of self-assured, cockiness that you had known of him can kind of be seen through, and he says, I am very good. You're already more involved than you can possibly understand. And to answer your series of questions, Walter, there's not a secret thing that you need to do that I can't tell you about. That's not how any of this works. You're already on the path. At this point, it's just a matter of making sure the right pieces fall into place, and most importantly, making you all ready. So that when the time comes, we need to be ready to stop what is going to happen. He kind of shakes it. I shouldn't say more. We're in dangerous waters enough as it is already, but understand that the path that you all are already on is the only path possible. The only one that any of you ever could have followed if we're going to save the world. Honestly, it would be best after we have this conversation if you not try to think about it too much and just follow your instincts. There is a reason that the group of you are so critical. He says, let me leave you with this, and as I say, this is perhaps a gamble, and I may pay for it later, but I think it in our best interest that I do share some information with you now. Walter. I assume that I'm correct, as Ayla just mentioned it, but at this point, you've met her already, right?
One, maybe two. Yes.
He nods. Yes. Okay, good. I don't know what words were exchanged between the two of you, and I don't need to. It's not my business. Your relationship with her is special, and that is between the two of you. There is, however, one thing she should have told you. She should have told you to trust Fidget when he arrived. Is that correct?
Yes.
He nods. He goes, okay. When you next speak to her, tell her what happened here tonight. Explain Fidget and Nula leaving, explain the library, explain this conversation. And tell her these words. The shadows grow stronger than we expected. We are off book. Brom. You have not heard from Miss Tabitha Delca since the Brotherhood attempted to assassinate her, and she left to seek asylum with King Aldo. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right. Okay, good. That's good. I know it doesn't mean anything to you, but the fact that you have not heard anything yet means there is still some time, and not everything is completely fucked. You will hear from her again, some time from now. When you do, respond to her, but make sure that you include the following. Tell her to tell the king exactly this. The builders used the wrong brick. The other way is better. After Brom receives this message from Miss Delca and sends his reply, I don't know where the three of you will be at that time, but if you are in Mithlinday, make haste to one of the other kingdoms, or to Terra Libra, until after. You'll know what after means after. He turns now to you, Ayla. Do you still carry the crossbow that you took from the tiefling woman in Woodpine?
He opens his coat and it's in a holster.
He nods. Good. You need to keep it until it becomes clear why. If you haven't already, you should start now, but keep in the good graces of your friend at the border. If you're not already using him to move messages and coin to your mother, start.
I figured you knew about that.
He kind of nods. He says, It is important that you keep him in coin and in work. Keep him gainfully employed so that he is inclined to owe you a favor. It will come in handy.
Fair enough.
He looks again towards the smoldering rubble of the library, which the inferno does seem to have died down and been kind of put under control. But it is clear that a good portion of the library is just going to be destroyed. The fire is not out. The fire will likely burn for days and days. But the roiling inferno of it seems to have died over the last couple of hours. To the point where it is contained just to within that building. And after another moment, he says, "All right, I suppose if you have questions, ask them, and if I can answer them, I will, but as vague as it is, I think I've done all I can to make repairs at this point. I will do what I can to see if I can find out where Nula and Fidget went, if they can be returned to the fold. All the better, but
I got one question.
of course.
In all the visions that you saw, where the coin was caught, to use your metaphor, points toward the tower of smoke. Did that always happen?
He chooses his words for a bit, and he says, "It's not so cut and dry as that. It isn't."
I'm not asking, are we on the right path? I'm just...
He says, No, I know. He says, I know. That, in my visions, if that's the preferred metaphor, I have seen that library burn so many times, but it has always been disconnected from my other readings of the paths of probability. Something about what happens at that library, what happened now at that library, is shrouded from me. It is the reason I am so concerned that Nula and Fidget are now in the clutches of whoever is responsible. As it relates to what is coming, I cannot give you the answer that you're looking for, whether or not there was ever a way to keep that from happening. It doesn't always work like that, and in this case, I did not know that you all were going to be connected with that fire.
Okay. Alar just sits down and watches the smoke rise.
He kind of sort of looks Walter, you and Brom, and he says, "You've been awfully quiet, which means either you're thinking about this or you think I'm a bloody maniac and you're just waiting for me to get you off of this tower.
Little A, little B. It explains a lot. Brings up more questions.
Kind of nods. He says, divination is often like that. He kind of shakes his head and he says, alright, it's cold as balls up here. Let's get down to ground level. And I believe you have a group of wizards to hitch a ride with on a caravan.
Yes.
We hope, beyond hope, that the exit from the city is lightly guarded.
Well, we should definitely change our clothes immediately upon returning to Dorset, just to and wash to get the smoke smell out.
He says, I can bring you directly back to their, not inside, obviously, but I can bring you directly back to their premises, rather than force you to walk around through the city looking guilty of arson.
Yeah, let's skip that. If we're gonna save the world, I'd rather not start out on that path as a fugitive from two nations.
Yes, we...
Like the mythical hero Todd Howard.
Who?
It's a story from up north. Don't worry about it.
Fair enough.
He says, right, let's be off then. And he kind of like gathers the three of you up again, and he teleports you all the way. You appear in the alleyway, just like a door down from 28 Dorset. As you do, he kind of steps back. He sort of looks over the three of you, and he goes, better safe than sorry. And he 4 times casts prestidigitation and just cleans all of the like soot and dirt off of you guys so that you look clean and presentable. And he says, this is where I will leave you. I can assure you that our paths have not crossed for the last time, but the least direct interaction that I have with you, the better.
Then, safe journey.
He kind of nods to you guys, and he sort of starts heading the other way down the alley as you guys head, in your direction towards the Collective of the Arcane Eyes establishment.
Alar will put his hands in his pockets as he's walking in. Oh, right. I forgot, Brom. You dropped this yesterday. You're muted.
You're muted.
Fine.
Oh, there we go.
I wasn't, but maybe just didn't pick me. I said thanks.
Well, there's 3 of us now. Just give me an idea, and I'll cast Disguise Self to disguise myself as the tiefling woman from Rogers and the Boys. Maybe we can borrow their faces to get out of here unseen.
Let's play casual. After all, most of the people that saw us are dead in that in the bottom of the library.
Sure, I'll dismiss it and go back to just Walter.
All those books. All those scrolls. Hundreds of years.
I'm gonna fish the book I took out from the library and just hand it to Alar. It's what I could grab.
The title of the book is Occult River Fishing and You.
David's river fishing. I'm setting it on fire right now.
It's Occult River Fishing and You. the
God damn it.
the complexities of demon tainted carp.
I once heard a story that the goddess of magic had a wicked sense of humor, and that this is proof. This is proof. Mistra has one sick sense of humor, and he'll pocket the book. All right, let's. I think we should wait until after we're outside the city before telling our former employers all the details. Far enough away from when they scream, "What?" It's not going to be audible.
Namara knows. I don't know why, but I know she knows.
I'm pretty sure she's got some divination skill of her own. But let's not volunteer.
She knows, she'll understand.
Fair enough. And if I assume we have a key, and we'll re-enter the house.
As you guys re-enter, it is clear that the household is awake at this point. You can hear the three wizards having breakfast in the kitchen down the hallway. The sort of tail end of their belongings, like a handful of like carpet bags and suitcases and things like that, are kind of like stacked neatly by the foot of the stairs. The rest of the stuff having already been like kind of sent ahead, and then what is left essentially is just their like immediate personal belongings that they'll be taking in their like on their carriage, on their caravan, their wagon, as they head out. The choice is yours. They are down the hall in the kitchen, so like you have entered, and can choose to go where you will from here. They don't. Nobody like rushes out to come see you or anything like that.
Think clean up now, or tell them we couldn't quite find them?
Well, I mean, thanks to Idrian, we're all clean. Yeah, they should know. Besides, I smell Stanfield's coffee.
What time is it roughly during the day?
It's probably like 8:30 a.m. at this point. Like the sun is like up at this point. Because you guys got yoinked out of bed kind of in like the wee hours of the morning and have been running around the city for the past hour, few hours.
Coffee. And Alar will walk slowly because he's tired and he's still fairly beat up. I imagine all three of us are.
Okay. So you head down the stairs. You sort of push the door open, and the three of you walk into the kitchen. And as you do, you hear, "Look, all I'm saying is that if you give the horses some of Stanfield's coffee every morning, we'll at least make like 5-10 extra miles. I don't know why it's not worth it." Stanfield's like, "Sir, I don't think you understand quite how many beans that would require. We'd feed the horses coffee. Besides, Stanfield, I can't believe I'm engaging in this conversation with you, Colin. As you should well be aware of, coffee has a powerful diuretic property to it. I, for one, have no intention of dealing with horses with... No. You know what? No, we're done. Look, the lads have returned.
I have to side with Master Dimios and Stanfield on that one. You don't want a horse pooping anywhere near as much as they will with feeding them coffee.
It's kind of like sort of like taps.
Hey,
"Hey, That random stranger is right, I suppose.
He will cast minor illusion, and in glowing letters, 125 will appear.
He goes, oh, right. And he gets up, and he had been, like, sitting on his book like a booster seat as he takes it open and kind of, like, flips through. He's like, alright. Oh, hey there. Okay.
Master Copperkettle?
It's alright. Oh, you're a good lad. I'm glad to see that. I assume these two are, somewhat adjacent numbers then?
Brom? Walter. I don't recall their numbers.
No, I got them here. They're
126.
Yeah, they're like the next couple of pages here. It says, okay, alright, I know who you are roughly. It says, I'll read the details later. Or I won't, I might forget, I don't know. It's not important.
I'm hoping that there's still some of your coffee prepared, Stanfield. It's been a long day already.
Of course, I anticipated that at some point the group of you would be returning, though he kind of looks past you. He says, unless there are more coming through the door, you seem to have been unsuccessful in your venture last night.
I'm afraid so. We weren't able to retrieve Nula and Fidget. They're alive. I know that much. But they didn't come back.
Irreconcilable differences.
Namara sets her cup of tea down on the saucer that's in front of her, and you guys just sort of hear the kind of the very faint of it rattling a little bit, as it seems her hand is kind of shaking a little. And as she puts it down, she kind of turns her head in your guys' general direction, and she says, did Master Idrian... does he think it will be alright?
He's gonna try, and he explained some
Solid
things to
me.
us. But
She just sort of...
to quote something, he said, "We're off book."
She sort of nods a little, and she says, well, then may the gods help us all. And you kind of see, Dimios is sort of looking between her and you with this kind of perplexed expression on his face. But he seems to know better than to, ask Namara for specifics about stuff, having known her long enough to know that she's not going to be forthcoming with anything she doesn't feel compelled to share. So he just kind of lets the issue lie. After...
Mr. Copperkettle, may I borrow the mayo jug for 5 minutes? Not
Would
for the
you-
mayo, don't worry about that.
What do you want the mayo jug for?
Beer sounds great about right now. Wine is a second.
He says, I suppose
Long morning.
we can make that happen under strict supervision. Strict supervision.
Oh, it won't leave the room.
Right. He reaches under his seat and pulls it out, and he clearly just had it with him at all times. Puts it down.
I'm just gonna fish around for the largest unpacked ale jar I can find, the ale mug, and then just
It's basically just coffee, the coffee cups and breakfast stuff that Stanfield has been making, and then
empty
there's
coffee carafe sounds like a great plan right
sure, sure,
now. just fill that with beer real fast.
sure. You can fill that with beer. After you begin drinking your morning beer, and everybody else is having coffee and kind of eating some of the spread that Stanfield has been put out, and you can see he's as he's finishing with like cooking utensils and things like that. He's sort of like cleaning them off, drying them, packing them away. As like once this is all wrapped up, everybody's out. Dimios breaks the silence a few minutes later, and he says, "Well, in light of the fact that we seem to have reduced the number of Fools Errant members currently on the premises, I don't know if that changes any of your plans, but if you are still planning to accompany our caravan to Terra Libra, the plan is to leave immediately following breakfast here." He says, "I am assuming that as we are planning to leave via the west side of the city, the riverside, we should have hopefully no trouble getting out as long as we circumnavigate the ambassador's ward, as I can assume that will be quite clogged with the hubbub of the fire. But the passage out of the city itself should be relatively simple. If you are still planning to come with us, then you are of course free to do so. I know you have your own cart and your horses as well, but unless you have other matters.
That's right.
You didn't think I'd forget about Henrietta, did you?
No. Nuala too.
Henrietta will take excellent care of Nuala too.
Oh boy. And
If
meta question:
you
is
still
Blinky with us or is Blinky with them?
Definitely.
Blinky is with you guys. Brom has
Okay.
Blinky currently.
Okay. Then, yeah, we'll. Alar will point between him and Walter. You or me?
I'll take care of the horses.
Okay. And yes, at the very least, I intend to accompany you to Terra Libra. I believe you guys are as well.
That's the plan.
All right. Well, stuck with us a little bit longer, it seems.
Dimios nods. He goes, "Well, it has at the very least kept me competent and brushed up with my mending spell. I don't know I've ever needed to use it quite so often as the duration that the group of you have spent living here. I can only assume that you are twice as much havoc on the road."
Not to personal property as much.
2/3 as much again.
He sort of like looks at you and he goes, "Tell that to my door upstairs, Mr. Gray."
Look, I am sorry. It's just no argument. Just
Very well. I'm finished. I have a few more things I want to pack up in my room before we're ready to go. The estate agent to whom we sold the deed to the building here should be by shortly to receive the keys to the place and sign the final paperwork relinquishing control of the building. And I believe we plan to be out of the city before lunchtime. So if you have any last minute things you'd like to do here, by all means, as long as you're back here before, say, 11, that is when we plan to leave. With that, he kind of heads up out. Colin like takes the mayo jug back. He's like, "Alright, see you later." And he just sort of shuffles out of the room. He grabs his book as he goes, and he leaves. Stanfield is like packing up the remainder of the the breakfast like dishes and cutlery and things like that in preparation to get sort of the last of his stuff out of here. And Namara kind of like pushes her teacup for him to take away, and she just kind of remains seated at the kitchen table here, just kind of staring off in no particular direction. So you guys have a little bit of time if there's anything that you intend to do during your last bit here at in the city. And you know what? Actually, I think as you guys think about what that might be, what you might what business you might have to conduct, let's use this as an opportunity to take our break. So thank you guys. I see a bunch of people have been with us in chat tonight, viewing along with us. Thank you for joining us tonight. We're going to take a quick 5-minute break for these guys to refresh their drinks and stuff, and then we'll return as the group hits the road and heads off from the city of Neveria, a good chunk of the way across the kingdom of Mithlindian, on their way to the famed city of Terra Libra, the home of the Ordinum Libri, or the bookkeepers. So don't go anywhere. Stick with us, and we'll be back in just a minute. In the meantime, please enjoy these mid-roll ads with some sweet info on some of the other shows you can watch right here on Proficiency Bonus. Hey everybody, welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us over our break. We have returned to continue the exciting conclusion of tonight's episode of Delve Requisite. It's featuring special guest Grifford the dog, who is, as you can see, absolutely riveted by the action.
He's still alive?
Griff,
No,
okay,
the
buddy?
sleep spell I cast took effect.
Grifford. He does not give a crap. Okay. He's like, do you know how much I did today? I had a lot of dog business that I did. I napped. I barked outside in the yard. It's a busy day for me. Let me rest. So when you return, when we're kind of over the break, you guys confirm for me that you don't really feel you have like business you want to take care of in the city, with the exception of retrieving Henrietta and Nula to the horse and your guys' wagon, and linking back up with the wizards to leave. So that's where we're gonna pick up with the back half of tonight's episode. Will be with the group of you leaving from the city of Neveria, which I just now realize after I don't know how many weeks, the map of Neveria that I have on the Twitch overlay is upside down.
I didn't want to say anything.
I realized
it is.
I realized
forgot
it
the orientation
tonight.
was.
Whenever I have the stream up, it's always on my phone, so it's so tiny that I wouldn't.
It is, yeah, it's upside down. The river is supposed to be on the other side of the city, but
It's okay.
Can you mirror it?
I'm sure I can, but I don't want to start touching things. Tonight.
It's fine.
It's fine for
Yeah,
now.
we'll
It'll be
worry about the next time that we come back.
Yeah, when you come
if
back
we
here,
do return.
it'll matter again. So the wizards have a pretty well kept, well maintained, quality like covered carriage. It is sort of a little bit akin to like a you'd almost expect it to be in like a traveling either like a traveling merchant or a like a troubadour's cart where it's drawn by two horses in the front. It has like a coachman's box, and then the interior is like one kind of large open space that has like a couple of sleepers in it and a little bit of room to like kind of move around, and then is like enclosed with has a couple of windows. So it is big enough for like the three of them to travel with their like various personal effects inside. Stanfield, who has changed out of his normal sort of butler's regalia into more kind of commonplace, well-made, but definitely have not seen much use, certainly in a number of years. Kind of just like road clothes, traveling clothes, with a big, wide-brimmed, floppy hat that keeps the sun off of his neck and face. And you guys with your odd mismatched pair of your sort of aging draft horse Henrietta, along with the sleek, more compact, obviously powerful, like racing horse of Nula 2, hitched up to your wagon, which is sort of a much more plain, uncovered, I believe.
Yeah, it's uncovered. It's also very beat up.
It's taken a beating. It's obviously been repaired enough to be functional. At this point, as it's just, sort of been back in town for a while, but it definitely bears the mark of the time that it flipped over when you guys were fighting an owl bear.
I think it bears an imprint of my face thanks to that life-saving maneuver.
It does.
It's got mystery fluid crusts in various
Yep,
corners.
it's got character, as they say. And that character, I was gonna say, and that character is that of a hobo, but it is yours. So you guys head out of the city. The departure from Niveria is pretty uneventful. Obviously, the city is abuzz with activity as the fire in the ambassador's ward at the library has kind of everything stirred up. There doesn't, there was some discussion about, do we have to disguise ourselves, or are we worried? There does not appear to be, there's not some sort of a huge manhunt for arsonists going on. It's far too early for, really any determination of, the cause of this fire, so people are basically, you just hear it being, discussed as the accident, or the, something happened at the library. You don't hear anything that they're looking for culprits. Yeah, imagine it'll be a few days before they can get
down to see what happened.
Right, at which point you're long gone, and and basically, based on sort of what happened, as well as based on the severity of the inferno, that you're able to get a glimpse of the library as you guys circumnavigate that ward, kind of up on its hill. Probably any evidence of your guys' presence in that building, or of what kind of incited all of this, there's no way it survives that fire. The building is obliterated. So you guys uneventfully make your way out of the city. The guards at the gate on the what on our map is the right side, but is actually supposed to be the western side of the city, the river gate. Hardly glance in your guys' direction. Everybody's extremely.
It's neither of them. We don't recognize any of them.
No, it's not. It's not. It's not. Well, you know that Gregory is gone, but Eldon is not at the is not at that post today. You guys head out through that gate, through the dock ward, the exterior portion, just on the outside of the final city wall, and make your way to the large chain-driven barge transit that crosses the Nivian River, and will take you through to the small town of Farbank. The group of you, along with a bundle of other carriages and travelers, all get onto the sort of large chain-driven barge platform that then chunk clunks its way across the river, where you all disembark. And on that first day, after sort of a brief lunch at a little bistro in Farbank, the group of you and the wizards set out, first heading south out of Farbank along the Nivian River, and then eventually hopping on the sort of the main caravan trail, the King's Road, that leads basically cuts straight through the middle of the kingdom of Mithlindian. and you begin heading west towards where eventually you will make your way to Terra Libra. At this point in our story, it is pretty much like summer is in full swing. When you guys went down to Honorand, you were in Honorand for the Green Grass Festival, which is like, kind of like the spring festival, and it's been about a month, give or take, from that point, and so it is definitely warm. The sun is high in the sky. It slows travel a little bit, as the horses need to be given a little bit more frequent breaks. But as you head kind of west, the road is fairly crowded. The carts, carriages, horseback riders, people on foot that you pass, kind of going in both directions, branching off onto side paths, side trails that lead elsewhere throughout the kingdom. It's all fairly uneventful, fairly straightforward as you make your way, traveling for some time, stopping and camping in sort of relative comfort, either on the side of the trail, like with your carts, or at one of the frequent inns and taverns that line all along this main thoroughfare through the kingdom. And I think we'll sort of take our first peek at this journey in one such tavern. Let's say about 6 days after you guys departed from Niveria. You're in a tavern called the Tenpenny Tavern, and it's late. Everybody has you've kind of eaten. Brahm has probably played a set at some point tonight, performing for the kind of the tavern. Namara, Colin, and Dimios are around in the tap room, having eaten, but having yet turned in. Stanfield is elsewhere at this point, but the group of you are kind of in the tap room, and I'll turn it over to you guys to have kind of check in with you on your trip here, as Brahm divests himself from a group of people, coming up and tossing him the stray coin, or putting a round on the barkeeper's tab in his name for a performance well played, and you guys can kind of be where you want to be and be doing what you want to be doing right now.
I will be sitting at a table, waiting for Brahm to sit down. Alar's looking around. There's a faint smile on his face.
Damn. Man, I definitely killed tonight. They just couldn't get enough of me.
Did you have to play Wonderwall 3 times in a row? They're gonna catch on. Like, I understand the ale is very cheap here, but they're gonna catch on eventually.
Well,
Honestly,
what you don't realize is you could sing any lyrics to the tune of Wonderwall, and average town folk will think that it is a new song.
Honestly,
every
I'm pretty
time.
sure they just thought it was just one long song with occasional.
Maybe it was, Ayla.
But hey,
Maybe it
that's okay.
was.
You earned some nice coin. Gods, this it is on the wrong side of the border, but this place looks very familiar.
We don't have to worry about you owing anybody money here, right?
No, I've never been. I've never been this far west. Niveria was the when we went to Niveria for the first time was when I went to Niveria for the first time. I normally operated out of between the two cities of the border, whose names I cannot remember right now.
I'm
God.
pulling. Yeah, I'm pulling him up. Give me a second.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
Can you out of character? Can you just go ahead and throw that map up real fast into the Discord?
I need to. Yes, I can throw you guys a map in Discord.
Dag burn it. Where did I leave my player notes? I remembered it all the way up to 3 seconds before I started.
You know what? You left it in the library.
Of course I did. Of course I did. I leave everything in burning buildings.
Fortunately, I don't have it set up for to show the audience tonight, which I sorely wish that I did.
But right across the border, there was a place actually called the Haypenny Tavern, where Rax and I stayed once.
Who?
Oh,
Is there
right.
somebody I'm supposed to know?
Actually, you, yes. You, and he points at Walter, not so much. No offense. Just the guy who taught me a lot of what I was, a lot of the skills I've picked up over the years. Raxus Thorn. Probably somebody that I don't know if you would have run into him in your work, Brom, but you've probably run into his leg a few times. Somebody who can discreetly get things from one place to another.
Talmarch is the name of the.
Thank you. I knew it started with a T. Yeah, just
Russell, your
Roll
mic
at the
is
bar. That's the moment where everybody at the bar just goes, Talmarch. God,
Yeah.
I knew
Yeah,
it.
Talmarch,
Yeah,
and then the opposing city in the Ignean Empire is called Vale.
so 3 days ride out of Vale. Yeah, the Haypenny Tavern. Much slower ride, much lower stakes. Well, I mean, besides the stakes that we're apparently gotten ourselves into.
Yeah.
But
Get any higher stakes than like the entire world depends on the three amigos here.
well, I mean, it's certainly different than running down a. He looks around quietly, leans in, running down a few slavers.
Tell me more about that. Please tell me you hit them with a lot of rocks.
Rocks? No. Poisoned a couple of them while they were eating their meal. Slow them down. Most of them were too sick to offer much of a fight. Freed the group that they were trying to get into, get to Vale. And there's a few unmarked graves. Rax hated slavers. Hated them the same way that I imagine you do. And it was the one thing that would get him out of his spider's web. But
Not, I don't think they're anybody's favorite people.
he hates them as only somebody who's worn the chains can. I hate them for what they do. He hates them for what they did.
Something I can relate to.
But,
I will say, most of my experience with slavers did end with big, pointy rocks. So,
mine ended with pointy knives, but
yeah, sometimes you don't have a knife, sometimes you just gotta use a rock. You know what I mean?
yeah, I do. But what I told you way back outside Stone Mill still applies. If somehow we're separated, and you should know this too, Walter, if you find yourself in Talmark, that's normally where he operates out of, and you find yourself desperately needing help, ask around for him, and chances are if somebody's going to probably pull you aside, and you'll meet him, and he'll ask how the hell you learned the name. Tell him Alar owes him a drink.
Right off the bat.
It's not the type of thing that, depending on who we ask, we could also get stabbed, is it?
No. Rex will recognize the name, and his agents. Unless you tried to stab them first.
Well,
The name's not too familiar, but the profession is, and before this, I spent a lot of time doing asset recovery, running down the likes of your contact. So I'll
Yeah,
I'll
you might
keep
want
it in mind.
to keep the Moxum connection down a bit. They weren't a frequent target, but they weren't avoided.
Oh, I'm aware. Pays
Yeah.
good money to get things back.
Demios passes by your table, and he sort of you see him sort of gesture towards the barkeep at the other end of the room there, and he kind of like taps two fingers on your guys' table, and he says, "One last round on me tonight, gentlemen, but do try not to get in too much trouble this evening. We've got a long day of riding ahead of us, and
Oh no, we're seated with the man of the hour, and Alar gestures to Brom. No one's gonna start anything with the one that just wowed the entire tap room.
he sort of kind of chuckles and says, "I certainly hope so, for all of our sakes."
I still got some of them rocks on me.
He says, "Well, I am turning in for the night. I bid you do, as my old and cantankerous bones don't have quite the vim and vigor that you young lads do. Just try to get some rest before tomorrow morning, and I'll see you then." And he heads up the stairs, and you can kind of see that the tap room is starting to empty out at this point as it starts to get late. And unless there's anything else the group of you are kind of discussing with each other, we'll continue our journey.
I'm good.
We need to decide who gets this horse and this dog.
I mean, I'm already good as far as pets.
You have a preference?
Between the horse and the dog? I guess the dog is more useful. Fitted a lot more places than the horse.
And
The dog gets along with everybody. Let's see who the horse chooses.
besides, I wouldn't say a dog that is literally moving between the four corners of the room with no movement in between. Blinky, come here. Stop begging for scraps from people. And you'll feed him
Dog on a leash.
like that's
Did that.
gonna work.
When it did that, I just would like the leash come off? Would you go with the leash?
That's a good question. I have.
We're gonna need.
Fireman, I need a rope.
Oh, I've got some twine. Let's give this a test. Easy, Blinky. I'm just gonna put this on you. Okay.
You sort of like
Dang.
slip the kind of you make sort of like a slip lead, and you kind of put it over Blinky's head. The dog's
Okay.
like,
Okay. Blinky, and he's gonna pull out a ball. Go get it.
you like chuck it, disappears, and the lead just like drops to the floor.
Well, that answers that question.
The other side of the room, the ball like ding bounce, and then Blinky like poof, appears and catches it, and then immediately begins to just like blink to different places around the room, like up to strangers, and then when they go to like take the ball to throw it, Blinky's like pulls back and then just like poof, teleports away.
Blinky, come.
Appears back at your table and just like drops the ball.
Good, Blinky. Blah.
It is covered with blink dog spit.
Well,
Blinky sort of
question
like,
answered.
wags her forked tail back and forth a little bit.
Well. Guess we'll see how we do with the other one.
The other one.
The other one.
Also, speaking of that, we have to call it Nula 2 still.
I mean,
Also,
No.
isn't it a boy horse?
I think it was Nula Prime this whole time.
Yeah, no, Fidget had the right to give the horse whatever name he saw fit, since he was the one hung on for dear life. But
I guess
I think we can give it I think we can give the horse a nickname that's not Nula.
why don't we see who of us can deal with it, and that person chooses the nickname?
You just want to see me hanging on for dear life, screaming at an octave that will shatter glass, don't you?
No. I definitely don't owe that guy over there 5 gold if you lose.
Alright, we're doing this.
I'm betting
Out
for
to the
you.
stables. Let's
No,
go.
no, not tonight. No, no, no. Tomorrow. At the very least, we can whoever breaks their leg can recover in the cart.
Alar says tomorrow, and then we see like exterior shot of the tavern with like the night sky and Ajiria's rings in the background, and then like smash cut. It's daytime now with like a big text over the screen that just says tomorrow. And it's the morning. As you guys' night has passed uneventfully. I mean, you guys have been traveling for a little bit of time now, and so like the horse is generally like tolerating all three of your presence at this point, at least in the sense that like he's allowing you to like harness and bridle him up and like put his feed bag on and things like that and interact with him enough. I don't know if any of you have like tried to put a saddle and ride Nula Prime yet, but at the very least, like he is grown accustomed enough to the three of you in the time that you've had him, that like you can all handle him to a degree without like being at risk for getting kicked in the head.
Well, it'd be a good idea to try and see if we can saddle him, and because a horse that swift can make a good interceptor, as it were, if we have to, somebody has to split off from the group to defend the caravan. All right. I've lived a fairly good life, kind of. I'll see whether or not I survive this. I will attempt to saddle.
All right. So as the wizards are kind of getting their selves situated, you guys are mostly ready to go. You kind of unhitch the Akalteke from the carriage, and you retrieve from the back his saddle and stuff. As you approach with the saddle, you kind of like you see he sort of like, as you put the saddle on, he like swings his head, and like one big eye is sort of looking at you. Make an animal handling check.
'22, natural 20.
Wow, very nice. You actually get the sense that the horse is excited, almost. You just feel this sort of like energy from him. As you sort of like get this harness. He's been, he was stabled in the city for some time, or in Farbank for some time. He's been kind of like plodding along with you guys, at a sort of a draft horse Henrietta pulling a wagon pace. There is a clear intelligence in this horse's eyes, and as you bring out like his like speed, basically his like speed riding saddle, as it is, craftsmanship of the Sindom tribesmen, you can tell the horse like associates this saddle with like, oh, I'm gonna go fast now. So the horse actually seems like, so lets you put the saddle on him. He's a little fidgety, but you see he seems like he's almost impatient to like hurry up, let's go.
Okay.
You managed to saddle him with no issue.
I will get mounted and... Alright. Here goes nothing. And give a quick snap of the reins.
Alright, you snap the reins, you kind of tap your heels to the horse's side. Go ahead and make another animal handling check.
Oh boy.
Bites you in the head.
That is only a 10 total.
Okay, that's fine. At like the first like little snap of the reins, that the tap of your heels to the horse's side, he takes off like a rocket. Yeah, it catches you off guard, as like a horse more well behaved, would walk, then canter, then trot. Like, he was not waiting for you. You hit those reins, and he just goes straight to a full gallop. You clench your knees on either side of the saddle and hold on. And after a heart-jarring couple of seconds, as you are not expecting this immediate burst of speed, you're sort of able to settle in to a proper riding stance and find your balance. And you guys just see Alar off like a shot, basically disappears several furlongs down the trail in a matter of seconds.
That little high-pitched scream is what you heard, so...
Yeah, you hear the Doppler effect is clear. Is you're just ah!
I'm gonna look for that guy that I made the bet with. I know you heard that. I want my 5 gold. I knew he could do it.
From the inside, you're oh, I was pretty drunk, but you definitely bet that he'd fall and break his head. You owe me. Goodness. So Alar, you it takes a little bit. He seems he runs like a mile or two before he seems to like get over the exhilaration of like being able to like unleash his full speed enough that he sort of like slows down a little bit and starts sort of responding to your like insistence of like slow down.
Okay, we've got. Okay. We need to go back now. Come on. Let's go.
Yeah, once you get him under control, you're able to kind of like rein him around and head back towards the inn where the others are. By the time you return, everybody else is basically ready to go. And you're back.
Proper just run like the
windswept hair.
Yes.
So as you return, everybody is basically ready to go.
Okay. Well, he didn't throw me. That's a start. Who wants to go next?
Well, I've seen enough.
You're just saying that because you don't want to get thrown.
Rom, would you like to try?
I will dismount and hold, hold the reins for.
I feel like Russell responded, but we can't.
I keep. You have to be like right up on
You
that
did.
microphone for it to like pick up.
I think.
Maybe a slight scotch back, but yes.
Yeah, I said I'll attempt to mount the horse.
Okay.
All right.
Sure. The horse has like gotten the worst of it out of his system at this point. So you're able to pretty much get on and sort of go with no problem. The sort of the initial like burst of just insistence on running seems to have been worked out. So you get on, you kind of like flick the reins. He goes, kind of trots a little bit. You take him up to. He seems to accept you riding as well. He definitely like you can definitely sense there's just like he just feels like he's like a coiled spring as you're like riding. Like you can tell that it like at a moment's notice if you need like this horse can like move. But after sort of the initial like thrill of finally getting to kind of let loose a little bit, he seems to have calmed down, and you just you kind of ride him around the area of the tavern for a few minutes, and like that's it. He's fine.
I'm going to take out Bianca. Okay, speak with animals.
Okay. Are you doing this like are you in earshot of the others, or are you doing this like as you're sort of?
No, yeah, wait.
Okay. All right. So you do that. Pluck your thing, and your spell sort of takes hold.
One horse.
What was that?
I said it was one horse.
Am I the only one who can't hear him?
Yeah, I lost part of that too.
You have to like be in a specific spot for whatever reason.
I don't know what the problem is.
Now it's picking up fine.
I said, how's it going, horse?
You get a sense of like vague surprise, and kind of a moment later you hear like, "You can talk to me."
And
It's bad horse.
I never knew a two-leg that could talk.
so, got a question for you.
Hmm.
Do you have a name you prefer to be called?
You just sort of get a vague sort of confusion. And he says, "This is the sounds you use to summon me." when you
Yeah.
when you speak to me. He kind of like he sort of like tosses his head a little. He says, "This is not known to me. This is a two legs thing."
So, I guess we'll give you a name.
If it makes you happy.
I guess I'm more.
He sort of like you get so again, you're not having necessarily like a verbal communication with the horse. I mean, like you sort of probably are, but what you're getting back is more like your brain is sort of interpreting some of this into words, but it's a lot of like feelings and sort of thoughts and stuff like that. And as you have this conversation, the horse he kind of says, he says, "Your names that the two legs do, it is to mean what someone is. It is to tell what they are. I assume you said yes because I can't hear you."
I don't know what in the shit is going on.
We're riding kind of fast. There's a lot of wind. Sometimes I can't hear your voice very good. He says, "Then my name should be about how I am strong and how I am fast."
Oh, you strong fast.
You don't get any like he doesn't know what strong fast means, so like he says, "If this is your two legs word for what I am." And
Wait, it needs to be better. Wait, better than that. Dr. Strong Fast. There you go.
Does this tell the other two legs of how I am? And sort of you just get this. It doesn't necessarily come through his words this time, but it's sort of this like you get this sort of sense of pride. This horse is just very proud of his like his speed and his grace and his like horsely powerfulness. So that you just get this. He's trying to impress upon you this sort of like this great sense of like self-confidence and self-worth that is his like opinion of himself essentially. He says, "If this is what your two legs words means, then yes, this is a good name."
Dr. Strong Fast it is.
He says,
Brahm.
Hey, you can't hear this conversation.
Yeah, I know.
His Brahm senses are tingling.
So he says, he kind of says, "You are a good two legs. I do not ever know of any of your kind who talk, who know how to communicate. I approve of this. You may brush my mane tonight. I allow it."
Right back to the.
You ride back. Are you dismissing the spell at this point?
Yeah.
Okay, you dismiss the spell. You kind of ride back. As Brahm comes back, the horse looks very like he's got like kind of an imperious look on his face. He seems very self-satisfied. And Brahm, you return to the group.
Hey guys, how's it going? I was talking to the horse.
Talking to the horse.
Yeah, I was talking to the horse, and he chose his own name.
Okay.
and I hope you all respect his decisions. From here on, henceforth, this horse shall be known as Dr. Strongfast.
That's a 15 on insight.
He did speak to the horse, so
I vaguely
you
believe
have-
that you spoke to the horse. I'm just not believing that the
Oh, I
horse.
was gonna say Walter saw me talk to
I was
the
like,
dog.
you have the insight that that's a stupid name for a horse. That's what you, that's
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
insight that you get.
So the horse called itself Dr. Strongfast.
Saw Strongfast dying to the doctor out of respect.
Mhm.
Look, the horse didn't go to 8 years of horse medical school for you to disrespect it right now, Walter.
Look,
That's right.
frankly, that horse terrifies me.
Good. It should. Its doctorate is in
Look, it's
back
fine.
foot face
Well-
kicking, so
Well,
you better watch out.
Dr. Strongfast it is.
Look, you obviously have a rapport with the horse, so if you want to be the primary rider,
Are you,
I don't know that
You
we
t-
have a
you-
choice at this point.
did you talk it into this name?
No.
of course he did.
I asked
that-
it what kind of a name it wanted, and it said something that shows how strong and fast it is, so I said strong fast.
Look, I'm just going to go to the other horse there. I'm going to get the cart going because this is not worth arguing about. This is just
Walter has been walking that direction immediately after that sentence was over. Just
all right. Well, you're our you're the party outrider at the moment.
it's not worse, I guess. It's not
So
worse.
yeah,
All
just
right.
ride
Skull
loose in the
horse
saddle,
Walter
man.
too?
What's
No.
that?
So would you want to skull the horse Walter too? One
No,
is bad
no.
enough.
No, it's fine.
All right. Well, then the collective of the Arcane Eye sets out with their carriage. Walter and Alar set out on your cart with Henrietta pulling, and Brahm and the Doctor set out ahead of the group. And you continue your journey. For you guys, I did drop that in the Discord for the viewers at home. I did manage to stick that map up here on screen for you, so you can see like right smack in the center of that map of Orahol here. There's that Niveria capital city marker. That was where the group set out from. You guys are basically headed west right now. Where you are going to, on the map there, you're basically following the trail west, where you will go until you hit the big green patch that is that forested portion of Mithlinday. And then basically the plan is then to head southwest, in the direction of that large body of water that is down at the sort of like southwest-ish quadrant of the Kingdom of Mithlinday there. That is Lake Malamir. And you can see there the city of Festanaust is along the shore of Lake Malamir. But then further west, that red dot on the borders of that lake, that is Terra Libra.
The red circle or the red dot?
Or the red circle to the west of Festanaust, on the northern border of Lake Malamir. That is the city-state of Terra Libra, where the bookkeepers make their home. So that is your end destination.
Much nicer view.
The next leg of your journey takes you. At this point, you guys are about sort of at the southern tip of that forest there, where you're going to cross a little bit of grasslands to the sort of northeastern tip of where Lake Malamir is, and then start following the lake west. So as you are, completing this journey, probably about another 10-day after after that sea, and so you've been traveling for 20 or so days at this point, in that vicinity. Not quite a month yet, but as you continue on this journey, the remainder of the journey kind of proceeds uneventfully. I mean, you're in the heart of the Mithlindian Empire, the Mithlindian Kingdom. The roads are well patrolled by Mithlindian Home Guard. A lot of travelers, a lot of traders on the road. It is on a particular day that sort of the next item of note occurs. And what happens is about an hour or so after your sort of midday break to water the horses, eat lunch yourselves, a traveler approaches you on foot, coming not from the trail ahead of you, but like kind of intersecting with the trail, seeming to almost like come out of the woods off to your right. He is dirty. He is kind of disheveled looking, wearing very like beat up traveling clothes. He carries no pack, no equipment of any kind, and as he kind of stumbles in the direction of your cart, kind of like putting his hands up, you can see that he's actually not wearing any shoes. He is barefoot. As you guys kind of pull up, the collective reins in their carriage first and sort of pulls off to the side as this individual approaches. And as you guys kind of pull up the same, he sort of comes into the direction of your caravan, and he sort of has his hands up in the air, showing he's unarmed, and not a threat. And you can kind of see he's got like scratches all like on his face and his bare exposed arms and his hands and stuff, as if he's been like cut up by like walking through brambles. And
all right there, traveler.
He says, please, sir, any of you, out of the kindness of your heart, a ride to anywhere would do for a poor traveler. I'm afraid I've got no coin, nothing of monetary value I can offer, but if there's goodness in you, please. I haven't even got shoes on my feet. I've already walked for so long. Just, if you'd let me ride on your cart for a time and drop me at the nearest town, I'd be in your debt for the rest of my days.
Quick perception check to see if there's any movement in the
Sure.
the woods around.
Make a perception check.
27.
Okay.
Jesus.
What are you doing,
I
Walter?
forgot Alar. I was gonna cast message and say, like, whisper at him, like, they're onto you now. Now's your chance. And see what his response is.
Okay. Alar, you kind of look around. You don't see anything in the tree line. Walter, in true Walter fashion, makes everything worse. As you message this to him, and he quickly like, what was that? Did any of you hear that? It's all over again with this. There's demons in these woods. I swear. Please, I promise you, I'm not any harm. Just let me come with you.
Yeah, I'll lean into Walter. I don't think there's anybody nearby. I think this guy's probably legit. It's only It's a few days to the nearest town. We've got enough supplies.
Yeah, I'm gonna lean back into Alar. It's like, yeah, he probably would have booked it for the woods if he was up to something. I kind of gave him a little prod.
I figured when he started saying, "Did anybody hear that?" All right, come on up here. take a drink. He holds out a water skin and holds out, some, I guess, hardtack bread or something like that.
Sure.
Travel stuff.
You're able to kind of give him some food. He sort of clambers up his, thank you. I thought if the bloody monsters of these woods didn't get me, the elements surely would. He kind of shows you, like, the bottom of his feet are kind of, like, bloody and ragged. He says, I've been walking for miles.
Well, rest your feet. Clean them up as best you can.
Namara and the others kind of, like, pull around. Stanfield pulls the carriage around, and, like, the three wizards are like, they have, like, kind of the side door open, and they're kind of looking out. And as he kind of is, you're helping him. Dimios kind of leans out and he says, "Good sir, how is it, before we continue on, that you find yourself in this state? Is there danger to be had in these woods that we should be concerned about?" As he kind of looks him up and down, he says, "You look to be a man upon whom bandits have had their way. Were you robbed by highwaymen, sir?" And he kind of shakes his head. He says, no. Name's Franklin, by the way. I don't think I properly introduced myself. I'm so flustered. I apologize. My manners. But no, it weren't anything like bandits. At least I don't think. More akin to forest spirits. He says, we're travelling, and one night went off the side of the road to make camp in the little ways off in the woods. Set myself up a camp for the night, and after that it's all a bit of a blur. But some creatures, more spectres than flesh and bones, far as I can tell, came, and the whole forest almost seemed to come to life. And then I'm not entirely sure I remember too much after that, but the next thing, there I were at the side of the trail again. All my belongings, even me horse, gone. My boots included. I've been walking ever since. Just trying to find my way anywhere away from whatever haunted wood I found myself having the misfortune of camping too close to.
We'll definitely have to be careful when we're camping tonight, just in case they had these spirits, or nomadic as well.
He says, aye. I'd steer clear of them woods if I was you. The faster you can get away from here, the better. He says, but I'll appreciate if there's anything I could do to help with your caravan here. I will. Like I said, I've got no coin. Everything I own was taken from me.
Just rest for now. Let those feet get off those feet and let them heal a little bit. We'll do the driving from here.
He kind of nods and just sits in the back of the carriage. And as you guys kind of make your way, continue down the trail, he sort of keeps to himself, does his best to, like, clean himself up a little bit, and after not too long, he actually sort of, like, falls asleep in the back of the wagon. He clearly has been through a great deal, kind of exposed to the elements, and walking for some time. As you proceed over the remainder of the day, covering a number of miles on mounted as opposed to, like, on foot, go ahead and I'm actually gonna have the wizards do the same thing. Go ahead and make a history check, all three of you.
Ooh, 24. Oh, and excuse me, just one sec.
I got an 8.
You got an 8, and you were an 18, you said?
Yeah.
Bro? Okay. Alrighty. I rolled for all 3 wizards, and Namara actually critted her roll, got a natural 20, and then I realized that doesn't make sense because Namara is blind and therefore is not able to see the things that you guys are going to see, which I will describe as soon as Adam gets back.
She can see weird magic.
She sees weird magic, but she can't see like she can sort of see like magic auras, which we've described as she's able to kind of see the, it's how she can sort of see the outlines of people. She can see the outlines of stuff, but things like reading, things like specific sight-based things are beyond her abilities.
Right.
I don't want to drag on too long if Adam's away. So Alar does notice this, but Brahm, you also notice this? There he is.
Sorry.
Okay, so as you guys are proceeding, as you sort of get towards like twilight, as the sun is going down, you see on some of the trees, not right along like the side of this trail, but you catch glimpses a couple of times before you're like really sure of what you're seeing. But as you kind of are like in the position to maybe like think about starting to camp for tonight, what you see is certain trees have been marked. And they have been marked, and this is why the history check, they have been marked with specific icons, specific glyphs, specific symbols that you know are associated with wood elves.
Okay. We're gonna have to be cautious. I think we're in wood elf territory.
As you kind of say this, from the the carriage over, like Dimios kind of leans out his head. He says, "What elves did you say?"
I've seen these runes before. I mean, obviously not here, but I think we may be entering their territory, or we've managed to stumble into it. And
he sort of looks out. You see, he's kind of squinting. His eyesight not being as good at his advanced age. He kind of squints out and he says, "It's not unheard of. There are several populations of wood elves that make their home in the territory of Mithlindian. Says many of them, even to this day, still live within the borders of the Ignean Empire, though they, by and large, keep to themselves, and well, they don't truly recognize the sovereignty of any one government. Though as long as their woodland homes and their sacred groves are left untouched, they generally don't bother anyone, and certain groups will even work quite closely with the outside world from their forests. That is usually the case with the wood elves, at least the ones that I know of that reside within Mithlindian's borders." He says, "Yes, sir. Franklin, was it?" And Franklin, kind of from the back of the cart, he kind of pops his head up. He says, "The experience that you had in the woods, did you by any chance cut down any lumber to make fire for your camp?" And Franklin is like, "Yeah, I might have. Why?" And he goes,
that might do it.
and Dimios is like, "I believe, Mr. Franklin, you may have mistakenly enraged a group of local wood elves." He kind of like looks. He says, "It seems they are rather forgiving as far as wood elves go, or the tree that you cut down was not as sacred as another might have been for whatever reasons known only to them. I would say in most cases you are lucky to be alive, sir, and the fact that they stripped you of all your belongings and set you on your way is fortuitous of you. He says, he kind of looks across to you guys and says, if the three of you are up for a little bit of diplomacy, perhaps we can make an arrangement that would be beneficial for all of us. If we can find these wood elves, or I should say put ourselves in a position for them to find us and make good with them, we may be able to return Mr. Franklin's belongings to him. And I would not be surprised if we can find a way to make the next several days of our travel significantly more pleasant and expeditious by making friends with a few of the locals, as they say. It is entirely up to the three of you if you wish. We may certainly proceed on unimpeded if you'd rather not take the chance.
Well, I don't hate the idea. Saving a few days could be useful.
I mean, usually I made a point not to go out of my way to meet them, but a couple times I encountered wood elves. Made sure to try and stay on good terms with them.
Kind of nods. Says, we've had our fair share of run-ins with their kind in our younger days. It is, as you say, as long as you take pains not to commit any trespasses against their particular customs or damage their sacred forests, they are a lovely people.
What do you think, Brom? One more time.
I say we go for it.
Okay.
Franklin says, he's like, oh, if it's possible to get me belongings back, I'll help in any way I can.
All right.
It took me forever to save up to buy that horse. I don't know what I'd do if she were lost to me forever.
Well, then let's see if we can make proper apologies and mend fences.
He kind of nods eagerly, and Demios kind of leans forward. He says, "Stanfield, let us stop here for the night. We'll see if we can introduce ourselves to the locals." And Stanfield says, "Very good, sir." Pulls up the reins, and as you guys kind of set up to make camp for the night and prepare to venture out and see if you can't track down the local group of wood elves for the more over the evening or in the morning, I think that's where we'll end tonight's session. So Aglar, Prom, and Walter, along with the Collective of the Arcane Eye, along with Franklin, the human man, are on their way towards Terra Libra, and we'll be seeking out some wood elves next time. Thank all of our viewers who joined us tonight. I saw some folks in chat. Gene Noir, Island Phoenix, some other folks have been with us chatting tonight. We appreciate you guys sticking around and playing some D&D with us. Couple of announcements before we send you off into the world for tonight. Next week is Proficiency Bonus's big birthday celebration week. So there is going to be a whole week of all sorts of content for all of our different shows. There should be a schedule posted up, up online. All of our normal shows will be running at their normal times, though many of them are doing like special birthday events or special birthday giveaways. We are working on some things ourselves for our show next week. We will be on right here at our regular time, 7 p.m. We're looking to bring maybe some guests on to play some D&D with us, as we just continue our story here. But in addition to all of our regular content, there is a whole boatload of special, like one-shot and event streams being done. I know there is something called Two-Headed DM being done next week. There's a special episode of Mystic Hour. I myself am DMing 2 special one-shots, which will be Friday and Saturday, like earlier in the day. Jason, I believe, is DMing a special one-shot in the wee hours of the night, Saturday night. Is that right, Jason?
Yep. If you hate yourself and are awake at 1 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night and want to watch some weeby goodness, tune in.
Jason's running something. I know I'm participating in something being run by Proficiency Bonuses on Lip. I don't know what we're calling it, but it is the Matt stream, where we just got everybody in Proficiency Bonus named Matt and just put them all in one shot. So we will be doing that. There's just a ton of stuff. I know some giveaways have been arranged. We are doing some stuff partnering with friends of our channel. Some dudes from Praetor's Rejects are going to be here. Some dudes. If I can check my my confirmations really quickly here. So Jim Duffy from Praetor's Rejects is in. Alex and Winston from 20 Sides to Every Story are going to be here for an event. We haven't locked her in, but our new friend Hannah Sooner is going to be joining us for something during this week. She's just starting out with a Twitch channel of her own. We are also launching our Extra Life fundraiser during our bonus week. So that is also something I encourage you to come check out. But moral of the story, so many good things. Make sure to just keep an eye on what's going on next week, and we hope you join us for everything. So with that, I will bid you farewell, and I will do a thing that I have always forgotten to do and have promised myself that I'm going to get better about. I will tell you that when you are trying to come up with a better name for your horse and using your magic-infused musical instrument in order to speak with that horse, you might want to go in with a game plan ahead of time, or your horse is going to end up named Dr. Strongfast. But also, don't forget to add your proficiency bonus. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week.